I'm recording this because there's people that are gone, and that way maybe they'll get more information or maybe more ambivalence that they have to deal with because of my instruction giving. However, there's going to be handouts that you'll be posted on Facebook if you can't remember, or if I confuse you with the direction. What I want you guys to do is to imagine that you have an opportunity to do animal personality studies. And the animal that you're going to study is a canine. What's a canine?
A dog.
It's a dog. And what you're going to develop today is a multi-trait, multi-method assessment. So in terms of don't stand for me. Just kidding. Sit down. I just had to be mean on camera so they can prove it. Okay, so sorry, I was just teasing. A multi-trait, multi-method assessment. What your chapter 2 does is it tells you a number of different assessments that we use to assess personality. And but what it makes clear in there is that you don't just use one form of assessment. So one of the things I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to do, since you're probably not going to do human assessments, we can do an animal, non-human personality assessment of canines. So what I want each of your groups to do is I want you to develop or on your own if you're not here today, develop a multi-trait, multi-method assessment. And I'll give you a handout explaining that, but I'll just go over it really quick. Now in chapter 1, if you brought your book, you might want your book. Chapter 1, page 13, there's one of those classic decurrent boxes on animal personality. And so when we get started here in your small groups, you should read that, review it. I know you've already read it in detail, but sometimes I skip those things when I read textbooks. Anyway, but it's really interesting because it talks about how animal assessment has been done and the controversies and that kind of thing. So it kind of gets you set up to do this. And then in chapter 2, it describes all those assessment techniques that are available to you. So you can review that together. And then in addition to chapter 2, I'm going to give you a handout from a research article called A Dog's Got Personality, a Cross-Species Comparative Approach to Personality Judgments in Dogs and Humans. They really do research on this. And other animals. So most of us think that our dogs do have personality. If you have a dog, I do. I know my dogs. And so I just put one page on that research article. Don't worry, you don't have to read a lot. Actually, there's just one paragraph. You can put an arrow next to it that you might want to review about what it is. It comes from the review of the studies that have already been done. I'll be right back. It reviews the studies that have already been done and comes to the conclusion of what you can use to assess dogs, but you have to spell it out how you would do that. Okay, and then so if you miss class, you have to do this on your own. That's why I'm filming this, so that you at least have my wonderful input of directions in it. And then I will post a packet of what we handed out in class. Any questions? Because that's always good. Okay, here's the other thing I got before you ask questions, because I know that Dacia's texting somebody intensely about what we're doing in class today. But if you're doing this for a purpose, not just for an assignment today, it's going to prepare you for a future assignment. Okay, so the better your group does this today and is more prepared, the better you're going to do on the future assignment. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about it. But you're going to have an opportunity to maybe put this thing to work. So I want it to be functional. I want you to imagine that you're actually with a canine friend, and you're actually doing a personality assessment on that friend. You're developing the assessment. And it says in there that what people do is they develop these things to measure a theory, or testing a theory, or measuring a personality trait or a cluster of traits in dogs. That means that you may already have a theory about whether dogs have personality or not, or are they just animals that just kind of are trained to respond to us. So you can test your own theory. You can figure out, you can think of an assessment in that term. What would I need in order to test my theory. But you can also just think of it in terms if I don't know anything and I wanted to look at a dog and figure out what its personality is, what would I use? So I've given you several clues. The chapter 1, classic to current, the handout on from the research article, Dogs Got Personality, and then there's this, which is the directions that I'll give all of you too. So I think that's it. If you could hit that button on the back of the film there, Jordan, on the back of the camera,
The red one?
red button, don't knock it over, it's really inflamed.